Ready, good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Action.
3, 2, 1. What's going on, guys? I am here with the one and only Mr. Steve Arpin, and it is great to see you again.
It's good to have you here, man.
All right, so you just got here in Austin. You got a big race coming up for you tomorrow. What's going through your mind, and what are you and the team trying to get ready for?
So today, for me, I've got a little bit of a different role than traditional race car drivers. So today is all about the business side of it for me. As much as I want it to be about being a race car driver, it's kind of a dream of mine that I had to accept a long time ago, that I'm more than just a race car driver in this deal. So today we've got a new partner on board this weekend with RDO Equipment, and we've got 126 guests coming tomorrow to be here in our hospitality area. We got to treat them to a great experience. So we're trying to get all the details covered today, making sure everyone just has an awesome time. It's going to be an awesome race out here at COTA tomorrow. And so I'm doing that. We got some drivers meetings, some team managers meetings. We got pill draw for Q1 tomorrow, and then I'm going to go for a track walk here right away with my engineer to try and take off the team manager's hat and shift over to the driver's hat to be ready for tomorrow. Right on.
Well, yeah, you kind of started talking about treating your fans and stuff. So you're known as like the nicest guy in the paddock, man. You're from Canada. I guess some stereotypes have to be true. So
I'm almost an American citizen.
I saw that. Congratulations, man.
I just have to go through the swearing-in ceremony, which is probably in the next 2 weeks, and then I'm officially dual.
Nice. Congratulations. We'll come down for some Texas barbecue, and we'll really live it up. Well, so what really drives you to engage with your fans and give everybody that experience? Honestly,
for me, it's I used to be one of them. So I still remember being young and going to the racetrack, and like I can still picture in my head the drivers that like paid attention to me, right? And it's like I still idolize them to this day. And lots of those drivers in the dirt car racing days and everything, I remember like I got to grow up and race against them eventually and race head to head with them. It was just amazing. And I just remember what an impact that made on me to have them pay attention to me and have them kind of share that experience that they had with me. And it's like any race car driver that tries to complain and piss and moan and whatever it might be. It's like you can never ask a race car driver about a bad day, because a bad day in our world we're still pretty fortunate, right?
Yeah.
So that being said, it's like, not to sound cheesy or anything, but it's like I'm just in such a cool position in my life to be doing what I love for a job. So if I have the opportunity to share that with fans that aspire to do that or that dream of it or don't have the opportunities that I had, it's just so cool to see the smile I have the ability to put on people's face by giving them a little piece of my world. That's awesome, man.
So Rallycross is pretty contact heavy, to say the least. So when you're racing other guys, what is the difference between just rubbing his racing, normal race stuff, and a dirty hit? Like what's the line of being a sportsman and being like kind of like, is there a fine line?
Yeah. So I think it kind of changes with every driver. So like you race with Scott Speed and you can race door to door all day long with no contact, and you get with someone like Atkinson or Sandell. Traditionally, it's guys that haven't raced around other cars more. They have a different tolerance for contact, and if they get touched, they think it's the end of the world. But then they run into everything in sight and think it's okay. So it's kind of one of those things where you just have to know who you're racing against, and you kind of eventually grow to have thick skin, because they're going to cry if they get touched, but then they're knocking you out of the way and thinking it's okay. So you just don't really care anymore, and you think it's more funny than anything.
All right.
So, but it is Rallycross, so it is a contact sport, right? Like we don't have time to ride around and just go. If someone's in your way and you need to move them out of the way, I would rather take second to Scott Speed, racing him clean, than move him out of the way to win. But on someone like Atkinson, I'll move him out of the way in a heartbeat, just for fun.
Careful, really. Atkinson. You got a big challenge coming up tomorrow. What is it like in the race car? I know Scott Speed actually got injured earlier this year with a back injury. Wish you the best, man. Hope you recover soon. But what is it like in the race car when you're wheel to wheel, going over jumps and slinging it sideways? And are injuries fairly common?
Honestly, it's a rush, and it's so unfortunate what happened to Scott, especially for what he was doing for Subaru. Just he on his own took that program and turned it completely around. It's remarkable what he was able to do. So you hate to see him get injured and not be able to see it through all the way with the championship. But we brought him a little CBD-MD care package, help with that inflammation a little bit.
Right on.
And but as far as being in the race cars, of all things I've ever raced, it's like I've always said that dirt cars was the most fun, even more than NASCAR and all that kind of stuff. But this goes right up there with it. These cars are so intense. It's just like anything though, when you get comfortable in something, everything kind of slows down and it becomes more normal, if you want to call it that. So, but like going over the gap jumps at Nitro World Games, and we got 35-second laps here at COTA that I think you have 9 turns to make it all happen. So we got a 2.5-minute heat race and a 5, maybe 6-minute final. It's like there's not much time for sitting around, so it gets pretty intense, and especially going into these last 2 races. Like there's a championship on the line, especially with speed out of it, and there's a lot of pressure on. There's not one time to make a mistake.
Right on. Well, we're definitely pulling for you. So what sort of decisions go into selecting which sponsors to go with? You know, selecting one tire company over another tire company, or one suit over another suit. You know, what goes into those decisions, and how does that impact a team and their performance?
So all those relationships are built in the off season. So for me, for example, I do all my own sponsorship work. I don't use agencies, anything like that.
Oh, wow.
It's one of those things where I've had them before, but nobody cares as much as you do about your career. So I really focus on doing all that stuff myself, and it allows you to kind of get in to understand what they're looking for, what their challenges are. So like for CBDMD, for example, some of the biggest things we do there is looking at the markets that we're going to and where they have big pockets of business that we can really make a difference in. And for RDO equipment at this event, they've got a dealership right close to here, so it works out perfect. Like I said, we've got over 100 people coming from the RDO dealership just to be guests of us this weekend. So
wow, that's awesome.
It's going to be a cool thing. And then on the other side of it, it's really not about the logos. It's not about the branding. It's not about that. It's about that's just like the heartbeat of the whole program. And there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that's all prepared before we even get to the racetrack, that the racetrack is just kind of like the sprinkles on top of the cake. Like it's not even the icing on the cake, it's the sprinkles on top of everything else.
Okay, very cool. So how did you get started in motorsport and kind of get down this journey?
So it's kind of funny when I think back to it, considering where I'm at now and being so involved in the business aspect of it. I was 10 years old when I got my first go-kart, a small track in Rainy River, Ontario called Riverside Speedway. I was actually in a friend of ours' backyard. The family's turned into a lifelong friend. But got into go-kart racing. It was one class, racing with a bunch of adults and me, the little 10-year-old. And it's kind of funny because when I was 11, the next year I started my own engine building business. Oh, wow. And I ended up starting to build the motors for myself and all my competitors. My mom sent me one of my old invoices. I think my labor rate was $3 an hour back then. So they probably were kind of cutting me short on minimum wage.
A little bit.
But yeah, no, so it all started back when I was 10 years old, go-kart racing, and it's been just an absolute passion of mine ever since then.
That is awesome. So how did you make the transition from buying parts and carts yourself to kind of approaching sponsors?
So our family business growing up was a marine dealership, and my dad started that family business in his mom's living room. The kitchen table was his office after everyone finished breakfast in the morning. But so my whole life I've really been involved in the business aspect of everything. And my dad, I had one of the most incredible coaches in the world. Like everything where I'm at now, I completely attribute to both my parents, my mom and my dad.
That's awesome.
And that being said, the business side of it, the sponsorship side of it, it all started early. From snowmobile racing to being a Polaris factory driver. At the time, I was the youngest guy signed to Polaris. Then I ran into a wall and it kicked my butt. That was the end of that. And then just everything from the car racing side of it. I remember when I came home from college, I told my parents, it's like I feel like going to schools, wasting away everything I built in racing, getting to this point, and I want to pursue it. And they said, okay, you're on your own. So make it work if you want to do it. And it's been a tough road. It's been tough, but learned a lot of lessons. My dad's always had the saying for me that it's not a good lesson unless it costs you something. And the more it costs you, the better a lesson it is. And I've learned some hard lessons. We've been in some tough places, but it's all been for the better, and I wouldn't do it any other way than we've done it.
Right on. So you've had a really amazing career. Like you've done everything from dirt modifieds to NASCAR, and now you're doing Rallycross. Yeah, what were some really big moments to you, like some pivotal moments in your career, and something you really enjoyed looking back on?
I think the biggest thing, and it was such a big life lesson for me outside of motorsports too. It's like I had this path planned, right? It's like, this is where I'm going to be at this point, this is where I'm going to be 2 years later, this is where I'm going to be then. And did I ever picture myself to be here running a race team partnered up with the best owners in the world, running a race team in Rallycross, racing in Brazil and Germany and Spain and Barbados on a Caribbean island, right? Like, did I ever picture that? No. So honestly, one of the biggest things in my career was when I finally just kind of sat back and let go of control and just let the path that was being put in front of me, just kind of realized that like there's a big guy upstairs that has a different plan than I may have had, and I'm just along for the ride. And that was one of the coolest eye-opening experiences for my racing career, but just my life in general. And then the other stuff, there's definitely been some big moments, and I think when you look back at it, some of the things that stick in my mind the most is the people and the relationships. It's the racing world's one big family, and the things that I've been able to see and accomplish and do, and the impacts I've been able to make on some people's lives, and the impact on me that people have made in my life is definitely the biggest thing about it.
That's
and
awesome.
Driving a race car is a rush too, so you can't complain.
Sounds like a good time,
right?
It beats a cubicle for sure. So so before we go, you've been awesome, by the way. Thank you so much for doing this. But before we go, do you have any advice for people trying to get into motorsport and trying to make that dream turn into a career?
Well, it's another thing. I don't want to sound like cheesy, right? But you hear so many people say it. It's like, never let someone tell you can't. And I'm not gonna lie, motorsports is tough. Motorsports is a tough path to go down, simply because the way it differs from different stick and ball sports or anything like that. If you're good, like exceptionally good at those sports, there's not a whole bunch of cost that it takes to give you an opportunity. With a motorsports team, we've got so many people employed to prepare a race car. We've got hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment that it takes to go down the road. We've got shops. We've got everything that we have to cover the overhead and cover that expense on for one, maybe two drivers, maybe three drivers. Whereas other forms of sports, you've got an entire team to build revenue off of, right? Yeah. So with our program, with motorsports in general, the financial side of it, as much as I wish it wasn't, the financial side of it's a huge aspect. So the more you can focus on developing relationships and really focus on the business side of it. The reason why I'm still racing today is because I've had the opportunity to build great relationships with my partners and really dive into what their challenges are and what they're trying to accomplish as a company. And rather than just rely on stickers on the race car to provide them value for sponsorship, we really try and make an impact in their business outside of the race program itself. So when we get here to the racetrack, this is just a bonus. So from that aspect of it, like, focus on the business side of it and go and compete. Like, get into a car that you and your family can comfortably afford and be competitive in, and just kind of build your way up the ranks all the way through, and focus on people, focus on relationships, focus on partnerships. And it's like, you never know what door's going to be open next, and some doors will close, but other ones always open. And with change, there's always opportunity. So you just need to find that opportunity and capitalize on it.
Awesome, very cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah,
and thank you so much for that thing. I can't wait.
Man. Yeah.
I'm going to send you a picture of that on my desk at home. We just built a new house, and we have to decorate our office. So
oh, well, awesome,
that'll be the only place I can have something that nice. Like, my wife won't let me put my race car stuff in the house, but something like that, she'll probably go for it.
Dude, I've got a poster. I've actually got a poster of yours in my my room up in college.
I love it.
Yeah, it's so. I'm really glad you liked it, and thank you so much for doing this. And I hope I can meet you on track someday. So
absolutely, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much again.
Thanks for coming out.
We'll be making a lot of noise for you tomorrow when you get on the podium.
Absolutely. When I knock a Subaru out of the way.
Oh man. That's all the questions I got.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
All righty.